is perfect. We have some couple of announcements and advice for making this the best it could possibly be. We want to hear your amazing, awesome laughter. Carrie, do you want to give us an example of that awesome laughter?
Oh,
that was perfect. That's how everybody laughs, I think. If you have a laugh like that or any variation of it, go ahead and unmute yourself so we can hear your awesome laughter. If you are somewhere with not too much background noise, by the way, don't get muted. Don't be offended. It just means we're getting some background noise. Maybe you have a barking dog or a meowing cat or I don't know what sound hamsters make, but the sound that hamsters make, if they're doing that too loudly, you may get muted, but don't be offended just because we're hearing it. If you do need to be muted, at least turn your cameras on. Let us see your beautiful smiling faces like this one. That was amazing. Pretty proud of myself. Next announcement, we suggest watching the show in speaker view. You want to see the comic's face nice and big on your screen. If you don't know how to get your Zoom into speaker view, I'm not sure where you've been for the last 4 years, but go ahead and hit that button up there, or swipe across if you're on an iPhone, or Google it if you're on a Galaxy. I don't know how to operate a Samsung. I'm not sure, but you'll figure it out. And final announcement, this is a free stand-up comedy show, but if you might be about to have a really good time, if you're going to enjoy yourself in the future, go ahead and be like Evil Dave and send us a tip before the show even starts. Well, we always appreciate it. You can use the email livingroomcomedy@gmail.com. You could find us on Venmo, PayPal, and Zelle. And look at that, we're on Cash App. We got to figure it out. We're $my name, all one word, no spaces, no dashes. We finally got Cash App figured out. I am very excited. Or just show up to my apartment, ring my doorbell, or don't ring my doorbell and just slide a crispy bill right under the door. Or slide some quarters under the door, whatever you want to do. Some small towns still require quarters for their parking meters, so I will take quarters, whatever you want. Only other announcement is to have a great time, and that's going to be easy because we have an excellent MC for our show tonight. She is the co-producer of this show. We have the same virtual background, and that's how professional we are. We do not mess around here at the Living Room Show. We know what's going on. If we were really professional, we would even send it out to all the comics to have the same virtual background. She is absolutely hilarious. We love having her. Let's hear it right now for Carrie Gravenson, everybody.
Hooray. Like that Aaron points out, I have the same virtual background. Why don't we have our logo on it? Why don't we brand it?
That's
People
crazy.
are looking at our faces.
Good idea.
Living room.
Excellent idea.
Thank you. Yes. Why don't we just right here, and then an arrow pointing at, like, here's your host, Carrie, on this side, and yours could say Aaron. It would be so cute. All right, I'm going to make that. We have to do it. We have a logo, right? We have a logo somewhere.
We do.
We'll pull that out. Yeah, Aaron and I took a road trip one time, and we got to our destination, and the parking thing required a quarter. And Aaron and I were like, "What's a quarter?" Like we were like time travelers. It was like going back to the 90s. And then I was like, I don't know if it's more annoying to look for quarters or to have to download an app. Like, those are super annoying, right? Like, I like to put them in the machine and get the ticket, and then make the ticket guy look for your ticket. What's more annoying, right? I don't know. Do we have anyone joining us for the first time? Because that might have been really weird. Anyone coming to us for the first time? Anyone totally freaked out? Oh my God, did half the audience just leave when I was like, is anyone freaked out? And people just logged out? That would affect my self-esteem. No, so we're all the regulars. Aaron also didn't mention, because this is more my thing than his, but if you keep your audio muted and your camera off, you can use the emoji to still engage with us. And I think it's just a me thing. Aaron claims that it crashes his computer, but I think it's just that he thinks they're stupid. Because how could this little guy crash your computer? Look at him. Look at him. Can you guys see it? But like, you know, there's a cheeseburger. Anyway, I like these little guys, and you can engage with the comics that way. I've done a lot of talking on the show about bodegas here in New York City. There's often a language barrier between you and the bodega proprietor, which is fine. We're a multicultural city. But I was one day in a bodega and I was looking for combos. You guys know what those are, right? It's a little pretzel filled with goo. Pretzel. Yeah. So I said, I couldn't see them on the display, and sometimes they keep the better candies behind the counter. So I said, do you have combos? And
Frozen.
and he handed me condoms. And I thought, thanks for the compliment, sir. But no, I said combos. They're kind of like pretzels. And then he handed me pencils.
Oh.
And I don't really remember what happened after that, but those pencils did not get me pregnant. All right.
Oh.
All right, that's an oldie. I used to have a job where I was a tour guide, and I would have to host private groups sometimes. So it would be like, like Joey's bar mitzvah, and this corporate outing, or like I don't know, Google's team building event or whatever. And one time I had a private event that was in a public space. So I had to hold up a sign. Normally the sign just said the name of the company, but in this case I had to hold up a sign so they'd know that we were there for Bill's birthday, so everyone could gather. So I'm in the middle of Grand Central and I'm holding up a sign that says, "Happy Birthday, Bill." And if you ever want to make friends with crazy people, go to Grand Central and hold up a sign that says "Happy Birthday, Bill." I have never been more mortified in my life. And Bill was late, by the way. His party was late. So I stood there with my little sign, "Happy Birthday, Bill." And people, regular people, crazy people, homeless people, cops, transit workers would all come up to me and be like, "Are you Bill?" Oh. Which is the weirdest question, because why would I be Bill? I'm holding up a sign that wishes myself happy. First of all, do I look like a Bill? No, that's irrelevant. That's irrelevant. But would I go out on my own birthday and hold up a sign that says "Happy Birthday, Carrie," to invite crazy people to talk to me? Yes, Aaron's nodding. Yes, that is something I would do.
Carrie doing that, yeah.
Aaron invited me on my birthday. The nickname I got after my birthday from my brother was Drunky Princess. He was like, "You were doing a great Drunky Princess," because I demand everybody worship me and buy me drinks. It's my birthday. That's what you do on your birthday. I'm sorry.
I'm frozen.
To tolerate this behavior, and yet people show up. I don't know. People like abuse. What can I tell you? Yeah, so don't hold up a sign that says "Happy Birthday, Bill." It's a terrible birthday present for Bill. But yeah, I once got yelled at in Grand Central from a homeless person, or an unhoused person was yelling at me in Grand Central. And I couldn't leave because I was meeting my tour group. Oh, I just got a message that I'm freezing. Am I freezing?
Not right this moment.
You don't seem cold.
I just looked over here at my router, like that would answer something. I'm like, I'm freezing. Better look at the router. No, it seems fine. It's just sitting there.
Just put on a sweater.
I should put on a sweater. Before you guys came in, while we were in the so-called green room, before we let in the audience, I turned off my background so that the comedians could see my actual living room. And there is a sweat towel on my couch because it is the summertime, and a couch is effectively a giant sponge. Am I wrong? So I don't turn on the AC unless I'm in dire need, and I haven't been in dire need for about a month. So So I highly, as a frugal money saving tip, instead of getting an air conditioner and turning it on, get yourself a sweat towel and throw it down on the couch. You're welcome, America. You're welcome, ice caps. But yeah, it's pretty sweaty in my apartment. I also have a sweat towel next to my computer. See? Shiny. All right, this went off the rails, Aaron. I'm so sorry. What do you say we get this party started and we'll bring up some comedians? You guys psyched for tonight's show? I think we have the best lineup. I'm so super psyched for this lineup. We have amazing comedians, and we're going to get started with a good friend of mine. We go way back in the comedy world. He didn't make fun of my sweat towel. He understands. You guys, give it up for Evan Morgenstern.
Thank you, Carrie.
Don't suck.
I will say that I sweat so much that a sweat towel would not be enough. I would have to have like a sweat comforter or something to that degree. Over time, yeah. So yeah, I have obsessive compulsive disorder. Thank you. My therapist thought I should share that in a room full of people I've never met.
Aaron, Evan, don't worry about sharing because we didn't hear it because your audio is cutting in and out.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
No, not for us.
Do you want to look at your router?
We heard it.
Oh, you did?
Okay.
All right, then it's me. I'm sorry to interrupt. Then I'm gonna log out and back in. Sorry, that was completely my bad. Back.
All right, so we'll not talk directly to Carrie then. As mentioned, I have OCD. If the proof of that is in what I do, I actually a couple of weeks ago, I woke up during the night and went to check in the middle of the night, to make sure my front door was locked and tripped over an end table and got this. Fractured elbow. That's how committed I am to my mental health problems. I have this OCD goes way back. I do the regular things. I check the stove 20, 30 times, check the sink 20, 30 times. But this actually there have been a few weird things. Going back to college, I had something called baby finger death. For those who don't know, that affects, just me. It's actually, it was the fear that if I might go to bed with dirty hands and somebody might break into my dorm and with a baby and stick my dirty fingers into a baby's mouth and the baby will get sick and die. And so I told a therapist about this, and the therapist is supposed to be like, supportive on your side. The therapist was like, maybe that's just the baby's fault. Yes, we'll go with that then. So yeah, I'm walking around, going on the subway, thinking like, okay, I'll get a little, maybe I'll get pity, maybe I'll get some seats with this. I sat down on the subway a few days ago, and this is a true story. I had a woman sit across from me who had one arm, and all of a sudden I felt the judgment. I felt her looking at me like, oh, poor baby. Oh, did you get a little boo-boo? Is your arm in a sling? Oh, I wish I had the extra arm to put in a sling. It was great. A real moment for me. Oh. Yeah. I've been divorced twice. Yeah, I usually get, there's usually one friendly woohoo and mostly just a lot of pity. It's fine. My first wife was about, I'd say 40 minutes late to our first date. And about 6 years into our marriage, I thought like, you know what? That's really messed up. I couldn't have put up with that.
Oops.
Yeah, no, my second wife, she's black. I'm from Florida. I'm Jewish. She's part German. We both just slept with one eye open. That was. And so.
Do you smell gasoline?
That was Matt. Sorry.
Yeah, people asked, I would never put things together in my marriages. Maybe that was part of the problem. I never build furniture or anything. I never felt emasculated. My wife's always put everything together. But you know what? In history, there's been one Jewish carpenter, and we saw what happened to him.
Uh-huh.
A little like interfaith joke. I've been going to the doctor recently because of this, and my general practitioner does that thing where you ask, like, do you smoke, do you drink, and how often? And if you're like me, you do drink quite a bit, especially when you've got the pain going on. But also if you're like me, you probably tell the doctor, like, all right, that you drink less than you actually do. You sort of lowball him. And I did, and he was still like, I think you drink a lot. You might have a problem. And I was like, well, not with the information I just gave you, really? I did lose my drinking buddy recently to full-on alcoholism, but moms, am I right? But you can't blame her. Living with my dad, my father is one of those people, just very kind of narrow-minded. He would, anytime there was a lady doing any kind of job, a woman, he would say, oh, it's a lady doing this. Like, oh, it was a lady pilot flying the plane. Really, Dad? She didn't crash the plane doing her nails? Oh, I'm working with a lady lawyer. Wow, Dad, they let them do that now? I'm just waiting for the day he would be like, well, I have a lady surgeon, son, a lady's.
That line. It's terrible.
Yes, exactly. So I think, basically, just going back to the OCD, when my nephews were younger, my sister, I'd be hanging out with my sister and my family, and we'd have a few drinks, as mentioned. And my sister I guess you get your kids used to normalizing alcohol so they don't become alcoholics, and she'd let them dip their pinky into the drinks. And when it came around to mine, I was like, no, I've seen where my nephews put their fingers.
Right.
In the world to clean that up. Anyway, guys, you've been fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Give it up for Evan.
Ooh, Evan.
Woo. How do I sound?
Oh my Lord.
So far, so good.
Disjointed.
So
AI, she's AI.
if I'm impersonating an AI, that thrills me. That would be amazing. Imagine, Aaron, what would it say about you if I've been AI this whole time? Whoa.
That I'm an excellent judge of character.
That's right.
Other AI.
Give it up for Evan Morgenstern, everybody. So after I was so privileged, I don't ever use my AC, I texted Aaron and I was like, yeah, my computer's being funny, probably because it's 90 degrees in here and I never turn it off. It might just be hot. I don't know. So,
air conditioner.
and Evan, I do apologize for interrupting your set, which was a thing that ended up being my problem.
No
But
problem.
I didn't. If nobody could hear you, I thought I should tell everyone. Okay,
Of course, no, it's
All
much
right.
appreciated.
Hashtag Zoom show. These are the things the Zoom hosts deal with. Are you guys ready for your next comedian?
Yeah.
Excited to have her. It's still daylight where she is. Give it up for Rachel Abrams, everybody.
Rachel.
Keep it going for Carrie. She's overcoming sweltering weather and technical difficulties. I also think how brave is it that she's repurposing a rag as a sweat towel? That's the same type of thing I use to clean my floor. You guys you're also beautiful. Wow. Thank you for turning on those cameras. I love it. I am sitting in the same place I have sat all day because I do work from home. So this is just continuing on. I'm really stoked on it. And I know you guys are like, you have a day job. Clearly you don't need one. You're doing Zoom comedy. Thank you. It's true. I just like to give back to corporate America to like keep my day job. Do any of you have Gen Z coworkers?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. They get a lot of flack, Gen Z coworkers. I would actually say that they are the heroes of the workplace. Because I have a Gen Z coworker. She could not make it to our once weekly 9:30 a.m. Zoom meeting. It was just not going to happen for her. The manager was like, can you check the calendar when you start your day? And she was like, no, I can't, and then he was like, check your calendar. She was like, I appreciate your insight, but that's just really hard for me. And then the manager moved the meeting to 10 a.m. So she was the hero for all of us, I will say. I work at a therapy startup. And a lot of people are like, therapy startup, should that exist? Well, maybe not, but probably more than your microbrewery startup. You know what I mean? The funny thing about working at a therapy startup is that all my coworkers are just like misusing like therapy words. Like once we were in a meeting and the manager was explaining a new like Excel document and no one was paying attention, obviously. But one of my coworkers was like, sorry, what was that? I didn't hear it. I dissociated. I was like, you just had a trauma response to like new workflows. I had another coworker who was just telling me how she was having a really hard time, with a new email system. And then she was like, you know what? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to trauma dump this on you. But I do think that like working remotely, I was going to say, I'm glad that Carrie brought it up. I missed the comic green room. I will take ownership for that. I'm not going to say that I wasn't invited, but just so you all know, I wasn't. But I will say that like, I really appreciate you, Henry and Jackie, Laura, Prasad. Those are some real backgrounds. That's brave. That's like going out without makeup. I think it's really hard in the workplace when someone who's above you, like a manager, is just having a fake Zoom background of a nicer house. It's like, what am I working for? Like, if you can't afford an apartment that looks okay, then what are we all doing here? Okay. I know you're probably impressed by me and my real background. Oh, thank you. Yeah. I have the dead part faced away from camera. I did recently become a property owner. I know that can be a little alienating. Probably not for a proud member of the audience. I picture them as a homeowner, but I know it can be a little alienating looking around at you guys. But honestly, anyone can do it. Okay. First of all, Laura, lower your standards. Okay. Like find something with potential, something that you can work with. You don't have to love it, Prasad. Okay. And then marry that homeowner. That's what I did. Our place is in, well, I guess the problem is that he married me. So now we have to rent out all the nice parts and just live in the tiny apartment under the stairs like grown-up Harry Potter. Our place is in the type of neighborhood that like your Airbnb host would call up and coming. And then you get there and you're like, when, like during my long weekend. I am getting to the age, well, I'm sorry. First of all, I feel like I should just preface this by saying that I'm not really like, I don't like kids, but I leave the option open, someday I might want my car to be crusty. But I am getting to age where my friends are starting to have kids, which means my friends are starting to lose personalities.
Oh.
I don't know if you guys are going to relate to this, but my friends will send me a picture of their baby. They'll just text it to me. I didn't ask for it. They send it. And I don't know what to reply, right? Because it's, first of all, it's like wipe it off first, you know? Yeah. And then maybe put some clothes on it. I don't know. I know that you have baby clothes because you made us buy them for you. Right. And I also don't know what they want me to say. You know, if anyone's a parent, tell me what I'm supposed to say. Right. Because it feels kind of like they're digging for compliments. And it's a little bit like you made that, you know, like you made that baby. I didn't go to pottery class and then send you a picture of my lumpy face, you know? And it's, by the way, it's not like any of my friends are like cool enough to adopt, you know? If they were, I would be like, wow, great find, you know? I would never have guessed that was on sale. So, anyways.
This week's specials. This week's specials.
Oh, funny you should ask. No. Any of you married? Henry and Jackie, are you married?
Yes, we
Oh,
are.
wow. How long?
24 years on Tuesday will be.
Oh, congratulations. That's a long time. Anyone else?
God, no.
God,
These
no.
are dumb.
Who said that? That's funny.
A bunch of cool people, I guess, we have here, the unmarried cools. I'm married. Not as long as Henry and Jackie, but I have been with my now husband for a long time. And Henry and Jackie, I'm sure you get this a lot too, where your friends will ask you, you know, how you keep it spicy after being together for so long.
Mhm.
You get that a lot?
Yep.
Yeah, same. I never get that. I'm prepared if I did, because I honestly, here's what I would say, spice is overrated, right? Yeah. What you need is consistency, predictability. Like I always know when my husband's about to make a move on me because he'll just pop out his mouth guard. Just like,
Too soon.
how tired are you? Okay, you are all awesome. I'm going to hand it back to Carrie, but thank you so much.
Give it up for Rachel Abrams, everybody. Rachel, I'm glad you brought this up because this is the same rag that I wipe my floor with. I have dozens of these rags, but I have a system and I would like to share my rag system. So the ones that go on my face, this is just a microfiber towel. This one is a face one. The ones that go on the floor, I hold them up in front of me and I take a butcher knife and I stab it once. So the floor ones have holes in them and the face ones do not have a hole in them. And that is my rag system. So this one is safe for, and I never mix them up because you can't put a mark on it that might come out in the wash. I didn't want to sew anything. By the way, it's really fun to stab a cloth. If you want to stab something, but you don't really want to hurt anyone or anything, because then you're just designating rags. So, so you can feel rest assured that, and if this were in your house and I wanted to use it, I'd be like, is this a face cloth or a rag or a floor cloth? And you'd be like, I don't know. And I'd be like, which is what I do when I go to people's homes. The first thing I ask for is, can I have your local? And
I'll die.
you asked if people were married. It reminded me, I did a focus group this week. And in the questionnaire, they're like, are you married or single? And I'm neither, because I'm not married. There's no piece of paper. But I'm not single because I have a boyfriend. Yeah. So like where's the category? And I was like, I guess of those two options, one is legally binding. So I'm not that. So I guess I'm single. And they were like, oh, so you're single. And I was like, no, I have a boyfriend. That wasn't an option. I'm in a long-term relationship. Yeah, not everyone gets married. Sometimes you just are afraid of hey, look at the time. Let's bring up your next comedian. Are you guys ready for your next comedian?
Yeah.
We're so happy to have him back to the show. You guys give it up for Dan Altano.
Yeah.
Hey guys, how we doing? We good?
We're good.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to be here. This is great. I've learned a lot about divorce and plants and murdering rags. It's just been a joy. What a joy. What a treat. I haven't done the show. I haven't done the show in like a year. Since I did this show, I turned 40 years old.
Woo!
Yay.
Thanks. I feel fine, which that's not a great endorsement for 40, right? There's definitely signs that I'm getting older. Like my wife took me out to dinner for my 40th birthday, and she goes, honey, there's a dance club next door, but it was loud in there. So what I heard her say was, honey, there's a Sam's Club next door. To which I responded, oh, hell yeah. I said, hell yeah. Paper towels in bulk. That is...
Yes.
a good sign I'm getting older. My wife goes, no, I said dance club. I'm like, oh, not that at all. My wife tried to convince me to go to the club. I'm like, honey, come on. We're too old to go to the club. She goes, come on, honey, let's just go as long as there's no copay. I was like, did you forget how to say cover charge? I think if we're calling it a copay, we're too old to go in. I think that's officially the rule. I was like, honey, I think that club is out of network. I'm not sure. I heard the Jello shots have a deductible. I'm not sure we should go. My wife and I have a 7-year-old. So that means Rachel doesn't like my kid. I think it's interesting. Rachel was like, I don't want to have kids because I don't like kids. Guess what? I also don't like other people's kids. It's not. Yeah. It's like my guy friends who are like married. Like when I was about to get married, they're like, "Don't do it, man. Don't get married." And what I realized is they were just telling me not to marry their wives. That's all. They're like, marriage is awful. I'm like, no, Deborah is awful. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Got 3 cats and 4 DUIs. This is on you, man. This is not on the institution. But yeah, it's I got one kid. He's 7 years old, and I realized that my wife talks to both of us like we're 7. It's the same tone. It's like she treats us like we're the same kid. Like this morning, she comes to the room and she's not in a good mood, my wife, and she goes, somebody drew on the kitchen table with a red Sharpie. She's like, well, somebody did this. And I was like, why do you keep saying somebody? Like in my wife's mind, this crime has 2 suspects. Here's the police lineup, by the way. Here's the police lineup. It's my 7-year-old son, who, by the way, was holding a red Sharpie in his hand when she said that. Marker on his palm, literally caught red-handed. That's the first person on the lineup. The second person was her 40-year-old husband, who was holding a green Sharpie. There's no way it could have been good. When I doodle, I color in the lines like a grown-up. Do you understand? It could not have been. I was so annoyed all day today. I was like, somebody? And I was doing laundry today, and I walked upstairs, and my wife and kid are sitting there, and I was like, somebody left their bra in my hamper. I want names. I realized as a father of for 7 years that all dads are different, but the one thing we have in common is that all our kid has to do is like one thing vaguely athletic, and we automatically think they're going pro.
Yep.
Right? We can't help ourselves. Like, yeah, we can't help ourselves. Like, I remember my son held a hockey stick the right way. He just held it the right way at 2 years old. And I was like, oh no, we got to move to Canada. We got to move to Canada. We need a frozen pond. This kid's breaking records. I promised myself I would never be that dad. Okay. But the other day, I'm teaching my son how to play basketball. Now I'm sitting down right now. If you knew my height, you would be like, you shouldn't be teaching anybody basketball. I'm teaching my son how to play basketball. First time he's ever played on like a real hoop, like a real basketball hoop. I throw him the ball. He launches back. First shot ever. Swish. Boom. Swish. And I just flashed. I was just like, LeBron, Altano. You know, like, I went from a 7-year-old to like a draft eligible prospect. I had a shoe deal in my mind. His first shot ever, swish. I'm like, all right, buddy, do it again. Throw him the ball back. He goes,
Never again.
Nah. I go, what? What do you mean, nah? He goes, I don't know. I already did it. I won. He ran off the basketball court and went on the playground. And I'm standing there. I'm like, did my son just retire basketball? Shooting 100% from the floor. I mean, he's never missed a shot. I looked up the shooting percentages. Michael Jordan, 50% from the floor. LeBron James, 49% from the floor. Altano, 100% from the floor. Are you kidding me? Perfect career. So what I'm saying is, statistically speaking, my son is the greatest basketball player who's ever lived. By the way, I can't wait for my son's memoir about his the good old days playing basketball. You know? It's going to be called Basketball Was Easy. More of a pamphlet than a book, you know? And it'll have like motivational quotes. Like Michael Jordan's big quote was, "You miss every shot you don't take." And my son's quote is like, "You make every shot I take." And you just go to the monkey bars. That's just what you do. I really wanted to play football when I was a kid. I really wanted to be good at football, but I knew at 6 years old, I was destined to become a comedian. I knew it right away. Because my friends were good at football. I was hilarious at football. Like, I knew I was destined for this stage. I really did. Like, my friends were playing football. I was playing a football player. Do you understand? You know, when you saw me on the field, it was like a local theater production of "Ouch, that hurts." Not belong at all. Some of those friends, by the way, that I grew up playing with, some of them went to play high school, went on to play college football, and I didn't. And last year, they asked me to join their fantasy football team. And I won the league, and they were very mad. Yeah, thank you. They were very mad at me. My friend's like, how could you do this? How could you win fantasy football? I'm like, here's my secret. Football was always a fantasy. Like, it was never real. Okay, it was never real. Great. My favorite part as a kid was picking the team and going home. I am fantasy football. By the way, that was the first time I ever played fantasy football, and I won. So look forward to my memoir. Fantasy football was easy. I'm kind of a lapsed football fan now, because I grew up a New York Jets fan, and so I'm kind of casual. You know, I figured, like, look, if they're barely gonna play, I'm barely gonna watch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, the thing is about sports is that, like, it's too hard to like follow sports now because everyone's too serious. You know, it's like so many stats. And I was a naive little kid. I was just happy as a kid. I grew up in the 90s. I didn't have the internet for a while. Like, naive. Like, my dad, listen to how sweet this was. At 7 years old, my dad woke me up on a school day. He goes, "Buddy, you got two choices. You can go to school. You can go to the Mets game with your dad." Oh, yeah. I was so excited. I went to the game. I was so excited. I was eating ice cream out of the little helmet. Cool. I will never forget the day that I bonded with my dad. So I wanted to recreate that for my 7-year-old. So the other day, I woke my 7-year-old up. It was a school day. It was right before the summer, and I was like, "Buddy, you got two choices. So you can go to school, or you can go to the Mets game with your dad." And my son shoots up out of bed. And he goes, "Who's pitching?" I was like, I don't know who's pitching. He's like, well, Dad, I mean, the Mets are like 8 games out of first. They only have one good pitcher. You know what I mean? Like with a decent ERA. I was like, get in the car right now. And the Mets lost 8-1, but that's not the point. It is that my son will never forget the day he was forced to bond with his dad.
That's so great. I love it.
I want to leave you guys. I want to leave you guys with a quick little story. So here's the thing. I was thinking about this a lot, that we bond as adults over hatred so much more than happiness. Don't you even realize that? Like, I hung out with my son for 7 days, like a whole week straight recently. By the way, people had weird reactions to that. Like my one friend, he's got kids. He's like, oh, you're watching your kid for 7 days? What are you playing, a little Mr. Mom? Huh? Playing a little Mr. Mom? And I was like, you mean Dad? You have a name for it now. What do you do when you watch your kid? Are you dressing up? What are you talking about? Anyway, I'm hanging out with my 7-year-old, and I realized I'd so much rather hang out with my 7-year-old than my adult friends.
Yeah.
You know what my 7-year-old didn't bring up for a whole week? Gas prices. Not once. He didn't use the word Joe and Rogan in the same sentence. He didn't pitch a podcast or a murder documentary. Seriously, he never said the phrase, well, that's what they want you to think. Not one time. The only time it got political with my son, he said that Superman was cooler than Batman. And I was like, that's what they want you to think. You know, only talked about the things he loved for a whole week. He's like, I loved aquamarine, the color aquamarine. I love every movie ever made. I love being awake. Walk around with an adult tomorrow, any adult, grab a friend, walk around. It's going to be all hate. It's going to be like, I hate my job. I hate my family. I hate the Dallas Cowboys. I hate aquamarine, every movie ever made, and being awake. Because we bond over hatred. Like, I saw a guy in the street corner the other day. He was by himself and he was smiling. Okay, no AirPods in, no headphones. He wasn't talking to anyone. Didn't see anyone in the distance. Just a guy smiling. And my first thought was, oh my God, that's a psychopath. That is a psychopath. And by the way, he achieved happiness. He was present. He was himself. He did everything that we've always tried to accomplish. He achieved happiness. And you know what I did? I crossed the street out of fear. I crossed the street and went around other people with angry faces to feel safe. All right. I should have learned from that. I should be present. I should be happy. I should go out with my wife. I should just go out with my wife, find a bar with a reasonable copay, and just enjoy myself. You guys, I'm Dan Altano. You've been so much fun. Have a great night.
Give it up for Dan Altano.
Yes.
Yes. Your son retired at 7. I'm so jealous. He retired at 7. I'll never retire. That's terrible. I don't play any sports. I don't really follow any sports. But one year I was in an office that really desperately required me to participate in a March Madness bracket. And I was like, but I don't know anything about no foosball. Like, I didn't even know what sport it was, you know? And they were like, you gotta do it. So what I did was, a lot of spoosballs, I would just pick a place that sounded like I'd rather visit it. So it was like Connecticut versus Colorado. And I'd be like, Colorado's really nice. I got really far in that bracket, you guys. I didn't win. I did not win. I would love to tell the story and say that I won. But I think I made it to like the final 16 with my method of like, I would rather visit this place. And then some teams don't have the name of the place in the team. So I'm like, Xavier, I've never heard of that. I guess I'd rather go to Princeton, you know, and like that's how I did the whole bracket that way. So you can do a whole bracket that way and not know nothing about no spoosball. You guys, we have one comedian left, but before we bring him up, we'd like to thank our donors from last week. I'm going to share this screen with you. These are our donors from last week, and it is smaller than the week before, but I think more meaningful. We have Illuminati level is Brandon. Thank you so much. Evil friend level is Evil Dave. That might be the level that he stays on.
Evil Dave.
2 weeks in a row, Evil Dave made it to evil friend level. We're not really sure what that's about. We got to check the algorithm, but that's how that worked out. And thank you so much to Anne and Laura. You guys have achieved potato level, which is the highest level. Everyone should strive for potato level.
Spuds.
It is the biggest. Yes, you get spuds, and we can dress you up, and it is really quite an honor. So we do appreciate it.
You are an honor.
If you would like to see your name on this list next week, you can donate one of 5 ways. I'm putting them in the chat window right now. You can click on any of these links, but also, as mentioned, you can throw random change under Aaron's door. I will be putting his personal home address in the chat window. He likes it when the bills have really weird cuts in them. But not so that it, because you need 51%. Yeah, it's very creepy. He loves it. If you just take a bill and then a butcher knife and then slice the bill down the center, it doesn't negate it being a bill. They'll still take it at the bank. But Aaron really loves that. If you like fold a bunch of fingernails in it and then slide it under his door, he thinks that's he's like, that's so kooky. I love our donors. Yeah, each week somebody does that. If you put a little ribbon around some baby hair and fold that in the bill and throw that under, he likes that. He can tell it's baby hair and not regular grown-up hair. That's it. That is his favorite thing to do. Speaking of Aaron. Speaking of Aaron, are you guys ready for your headliner for this evening?
Yes, we are.
We're so happy. He has the same background as me, which is insane. You guys, give a big warm welcome to my co-host and co-producer, Aaron Camino-Smith, everybody.
Yeah.
All right. Baby hair. I call that round 1 hair. That's our first round hair. It's your first time. Yeah, by the way, any bills that you have stabbed are bills that you don't wipe your face with. That's how you know. Specifically not to do that. I think that's what Carrie was getting at when she said that. This is fun. I think my favorite part about this show was Dan saying that he was sitting, and that's why we couldn't tell his height. Not that we're on Zoom and that you can't tell anyone's height on Zoom. Guys, I'm 7'5". Sorry, I was lying. Oh, I got that reversed. I'm 5'7". Nope, that's a lie too. Okay, there was a time where I loved being on Zoom because I followed a comic and he said, well, just like Aaron, I'm also 5'5". Wow, Zoom is fantastic. I just grew 3 inches being on Zoom. This is amazing. I'm only going to do shows on Zoom because no one can tell that I'm 5'2", and that is perfect. This is good. So yeah, guys, Dan is short, way shorter than me, by the way. Dan's like 3'4". 3'4". If that, this is just going to be. So Carrie, when she introduced me as the headliner, did not realize all I'm going to be doing is talking about Dan's height. That's all I'm doing for the rest of this. And that's it. It's just me talking about Dan and Dan's height. Maybe even Dan's eyebrows. I don't know. It's just going to be all comments on that. What'd you say, Laura? What?
Your video. Let's talk about that.
My video? What?
Yes. Are you having a?
Oh yeah, good news, everybody! I found a theater. I found my special, my comedy special. After the other place. Wait, if you want to know even more about the story, not only did that place about 3 weeks ago tell me that they were closing at the end of August, even though I was filming September 28th and had a signed contract and all that stuff. After I went to a new place that I liked and was about to send them a deposit, the place that said they were closing emailed me to say, we just talked to our lawyers and they're advising us to book shows through the end of September.
All right. Maybe you should take money up front for that.
I'm never going. No way. Oh, the end of my recording was September 28th, and 30 days has September. 2 days before you're supposedly gonna stay open. No way. Not interested. I'm not doing it. So that room 52. If anybody's heard of it,
Where is it?
It's not in Boca. I apologize. So it's going to be a much longer flight for you guys, or a much longer subway ride. I don't know if the R train makes it to Boca after Bay Ridge. If it makes it down to Florida, it practically does. Feels like if you're on it long enough, you could get there.
It's true.
Well, come south, we'll get you.
But we got a thing. I got a special date and location finally set. So. Now, apparently, I need to actually work on the jokes. I think that's the next step. That's what you're always supposed to save for the end.
Not as
save
important.
for last. I've been traveling a lot. Been really running this full hour. On Monday, I did 20 minutes on a Zoom show. I think I might have done about 22 minutes on Monday on the Chirping Bird Zoom show. It was a lot of fun. I think only one person was unmuted, and it was great. That's how I prefer it. I want to just do all my shows to one person in the audience. That's actually how we're doing the special. If anyone has bought tickets, we're done. We've closed all the rest of the tickets. Only one person in there. We're gonna line it up with the camera so it looks like we've got a full front row, just one, and then dolls' heads will be the other people that we're gonna fill in. It's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be a lot of fun. This is good. Did everybody else mail their solar eclipse classes to Central America so that they can use it for the next round, or has no one done that yet?
It's not totality.
Is that why? They don't need it. They can stare straight at it then. You're right.
We can see it.
I just threw mine away. I've had mine collecting dust right behind my computer, and I just finally got rid of my eclipse glasses. I guess I'm just gonna have to storm the library again in however many years. I hope that they have an extra pair. The good news is on that day of the eclipse, by the way, I took my daughter to story time at the library, and all the I've never seen the library in utter panic mode, because every 10 seconds their phone was ringing of people asking if they had any solar eclipse classes left. And I've never seen librarians get flustered. Unless I don't know. I mean, maybe you guys have also never yelled, Dewey Decimal System sucks. That's the other way to get flustered. But they were a phone would ring and they're like, hi, no, we don't have any. I don't know if you could try another branch. Hold on, and I was like, oh man, this is why you work with books. Got it. Okay. And then, so they were out of glasses, and then I don't know, my daughter was doing that thing where she was done and she was ready to leave, but then just didn't want to leave, because that's how being a toddler works, is when you want something, you then do the opposite of whatever it is that you want, just to make your dad go crazy. So we were standing there as I'm like, well, I'm not going to argue with you. I'm going to follow you. You do what you want. And then one of the librarians just came out with a fistful of solar eclipse glasses. And I'm like, wait, so this whole time you guys have been lying? You've been lying to everyone on the phone? And then they handed it to me. I wanted to really mess with them and be like, oh, is this a bookmark? Just to see what they would say. But yeah, talk about that. I could have sold that for a lot of money and now worth nothing. That just shows you. We learned a lesson in supply and demand that day. Speaking of children's books, why are we so obsessed with caterpillars? Why? I feel like half of all the children's books are about a worm turning into a butterfly, or a caterpillar turning into a butterfly. Why is that? Why do we that is such a narrow sliver of the natural world and the environment, yet that's the one thing every kid understands by the time they're 3, is how a caterpillar turns into a butterfly. It just feels a little weird. It feels like you're trying to sneak some Jesus thing into my child's life. I don't know why. It just feels like that's some sort of and then goes away and then comes back. And I'm like, did you say resurrected? I think you did. It feels like you're trying to convert my Jewish child. I think that's what's going on. I don't know that caterpillars are that important. Also, you guys all remember when you were a kid, you learned about how bears and animals hibernate And we were like, yeah, that makes sense. An animal just like sleeps for 4 months. What?
Sounds good.
Of course I would like to. That does sound like it was just some like lazy dude that was like, oh, wouldn't it be awesome if you just like sleep for like 4 months? Like, yeah. And it's like, I'm going to write a book about that. And then I feel like then everyone just went with it. I don't know if I buy that. Bears will just sleep for 4 months. Where does the poop go? I don't understand. They are just covered in their own fecal matter. That's disgusting. That's not the last page of them. Is just like, I'm on my 10,000th wipe right now and I'm still not clean. This is gross. Like that would be the last page of that children's book. All right, that joke won't be on the special. Don't worry, everybody. Hang on, we got some other stuff that we were going to work on. All right, here we go. You guys have never heard this joke before. Blinds to go. There's a store. There's a store called Blinds to Go. Yeah, is anybody getting their blinds to stay? Is anybody?
No.
Like, I'm gonna get a pair of those 4-inch Venetians. Just install them in the front window.
Put it in the back.
I'll just come by and visit them whenever I want. Yeah, of course, your blinds are to go. All right. That's my favorite part is every time Carrie goes by a blinds to go, she takes a picture now and
Yes.
texts it to me.
Sorry, that is fun for me.
It's really good. I'm gonna.
That's fun.
I'm going to lose you guys with this next joke, but here we go. Let's see if this one makes sense. I was watching a show about ancient animals and like ancient creatures and like what it was like as a Neanderthal, like way back. And they were like, oh, they had to be careful back then because if they were wandering the plains, aside from like saber-toothed tigers and stuff, they could run into a creature known as a giant deer.
Yep.
And I was like, I don't understand. Like, we have regular deer. How big does a deer, like regular deer are pretty big. Like how big were these giant deer? That's what a anthropologist actually called them. It's just a giant deer. Like that was what someone, like it must have been huge. Like I am scared of a giant deer. Also, how lazy of a scientist are you that when you discover a new species, you just call it a giant deer? Like we've already got deer. Like they already existed. Like, hey. Yeah, this is a while we're digging. I'm just saying this thing looks like it's going to be really big. When we get to the rest of these bones, it looks huge. You want to call it a mammoth? No, that's already taken. No. Big deer. Can we go with big? No, too lazy. Giant. That's got 2 syllables. Giant deer. Yeah, let's go with that. Let's just do that. Also, those deer came first. Those should just be deer. What we have today, we should be like, oh man, I was driving on the highway, almost hit a tiny deer. Almost.
Oh, what the fuck?
So close to hitting a tiny deer. It was right there. I think if you are digging and you discover a new species, you need to have some fun. You need to at least name it after yourself. You need to be like, guys, this looks like a new kind of deer. Oh, this looks like a Michael Greenstein deer. Yeah. My glasses. Like you need to have some fun and enjoy it. All right, you guys. Yeah, that worked. That bear's hibernating bit. I really thought that had
Aaron,
legs. I really
can I jump in? You made me Google it, and I have some information, and you're not going to like it.
Hold on. Before you get to that, you know what I'm doing in the chat right now? This is specifically for Ron and Laura and anyone else in the New York City area. That's a link to the shows. 6:30 and 8 p.m. You can get your early bird tickets. That's our plan.
I'll be at the 6:30. 8 is too late for me now, but
I know. 6:30 and 9. Sorry, 6:30 and 9.
The
9 o'clock is even later, 9 p.m. Yeah, so
6:30.
You're in Boca Raton. Book your flights now. All right, book your flight on the R train right now, so that you can come up and come check it out. The giant deer
water's blue down here and warm.
Probably not be there. Don't worry. I won't do that. I don't know what Ron said, but I'm still talking, so I am going to go right through it. Everybody, you guys have been absolutely awesome. I can't wait to hear what Carrie says and possibly offer a rebuttal. Let's hear it right now for Carrie, everyone. You guys are awesome.
Yeah, give it up for Aaron. Just before we close out, I'm going to ruin everyone's childhood because I looked up about bears during hibernation. I couldn't help it. And here's why we don't know it as children. They develop what is called a fecal plug.
Oh no.
during
Oh,
hibernation.
yuck.
Plug.
You don't want to use the term fecal plug too often, I think, in daily life. So in a children's book,
Damn.
the bear goes to sleep and then wakes up. They leave out the fecal plug part.
Carrie, that's the name of my special. That's going to be the name of my special now. Aaron Camino Smith fecal plug. There it is.
Oh my God, it's Aaron Camino Smith, fecal plug. Get it?
Colon fecal plug.
Colon.
Wow, this show just keeps getting better.
Now, I hear what you're saying, and I'm going to tell you, what is the plug made up of? Well, I'll tell you. It's made up of feces, dead intestinal cells, hair, and other materials, including undigested food, bedding materials, small rocks or soil particles from grooving, and dried skin from the bear's foot pad.
Oh, probe me.
Evan is
A bear eats its own feet, which plugs its butt and goes to sleep. And you wonder why we prefer caterpillars. For our children's. So on that fecal plug in for, see, you log in for comedy, you go away knowing a bear will eat its own feet to plug up its own butt while it hibernates. And I think that's a great metaphor for childhood. Plug up your own butt until the spring. Enjoy your life. You guys have been a wonderful audience. Thank you so much. Give it up for our comedians tonight. We love Evan, Rachel,
Yeah.
they did a great job. We're so come on back next week. Bring a friend, why don't you? We're trying to get our audience numbers back up. Maybe not to pandemic levels, but we're trying to, get our audience back up and make this show amazing. I just got a message that says, please tell Dan he should keep the bit about using a comforter for his sweat towel. I think that was Evan's bit.
Oh.
But yes, you still save money on AC if you use a comforter instead of a sweat towel. Although, I did copyright the term sweat towel, so that's mine. You can give me a quarter and I'll let you use it. I'll let you use it, you fecal plug. It's my new insult. Don't be a fecal plug. All right, this is a great way to end a show. They always tell us this in comedy school. End a show using the word fecal as much as possible. Wonderful. We'll see you next week. Have a great night. We're going to stick around and hang out.